Well, welcome everyone to today's special membership meeting, and we are so glad you are here. I would like to ask our bar treasurer, Mr. Keith Kelly, to come forward to give the invocation, and then Mr. Bar Secretary, Chris Wood, to lead us in the pledge.
If everyone would please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Our Father, we thank you for this day and the many blessings we've received. We ask your hand upon us, and we pray that you would guide our thoughts, our discussion, and our decisions, Lord, that they would be in accordance with your will. Please keep all our members safe, keep everyone protected, and we pray that we would always act and behave and conduct business in a way that would be honorable to you, that you would be proud that we conduct ourselves in that way. Father, please guide us in all we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And we will stand here, but if
Yes.
you are unable to stand where you are, that'll be okay, but we will say the pledge. The flag's right back here behind me. So attention, salute, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. If you're standing, you can stand.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, Chris. And thank you all for joining us today. I want you to know that we are committed to providing you with the resources you need to be successful, no matter the circumstances. Make sure to check our bar calendar on BAR's website, which is birminghamrealtors.com. That's, of course, www.birminghamrealtors.com. Look out for our weekly text. Be on the lookout for our monthly President's Report and many other emails filled with information that you need to know. Also, make sure you're following us on social media of choice to find out which classes and events are coming soon and what is happening in our industry. Before we begin our program, I'd like to make a few announcements. First, I have several educational events that I would like to highlight for you. We have the Professional Standards Training Enforcement of the NAR Code of Ethics, which will be virtual, and that is Friday, which is tomorrow, the 19th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have the Bar Committee Chair and Vice Chair Training, which will also be virtual, and that will be Monday, February 22nd, and Friday, February 26th, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And if you are a chair or vice chair in any of the committees, you can attend one or the other. Okay, the bar portal training for members will also be virtual, and that will be held Thursday, February 25th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then a second class between 2 and 3 p.m. And first, we have a few upcoming events that I would like you to add to your to-do list. We have loan process and the realtor's role Thursday, February 18th, which is today, from 5 to 7. And it's a virtual happy hour with YPN. The bar broker breakfast, which is March 5th. That is a Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And that will also be an in-person hybrid and also Zoom. So I think being present is limited based on social distancing rules, so you would need to register if you would like to be in person so that we know how many we can accommodate. And if you don't need to come in person and you need to cancel, we'd love for you to open up that spot for someone else there. We have the RPAC Education Drive-In Brunch. That's going to be interesting. On Wednesday, March 17th.
St. Patrick's Day.
It is St. Patrick's Day, from 11 a.m. to 12. And that will be here at the Birmingham Association. And lastly, but certainly not least, we're accepting nominees for our annual awards. Please help us identify the folks who deserve to have their praises sung. Nominate someone today. So all of the information and the links to those Zooms can be found on your member portal.
And they're also available in your chat right now. Stephanie's been live posting all of those
cool.
for everyone as we go.
Thank you. That's awesome. All right, now let's get started with our agenda for today. First up is a discussion of recently proposed amendments or revisions to our bylaws. The first proposed revision would extend the Code of Ethics to a 3-year cycle to be in line with NAR, giving you more time to complete the requirement. Or actually had decided in the past to go on a 2-year cycle. So do we have any questions about this revision or any concerns? Please post your questions in the chat box, and then we will call on you so you can unmute and speak.
See nothing.
So far, nothing in the chat. This is our discussion period since we are virtual. So if anybody would like to have some discussion, why, I see.
Mario says why.
Okay, Mario says why. Well, that answer is twofold, Mario, and thank you for the question. We had decided that because it's a 2-year cycle for CE, we thought it would be easier to have it blend with the CE cycle because there were, not as many classes offered in the 3rd year. But also, NAR being on a 3-year cycle, we had members contacting NAR and they were saying, yes, you're in compliance, but they weren't in compliance with our local board rules. So we did have the ability to modify those rules from what NAR was offering, and we did so, we thought, for the convenience, but however, because of the confusion, we agreed to go ahead and extend it to 3 years so that we are all on the same page and the information you would get from us would be the same as you would get from NAR.
So Mario, your next question was how many agents are lose if this does not pass? We will have approximately, the last time we ran numbers, we have about 900 who have not completed their code of ethics requirement in the 2 years, and at the end of the month, they would lose their realtor status. Under this new plan, and if the 3 years is passed, they will have until the end of this year to do that and get them in line, and then we will be in line with NAR. And although I wasn't here, I heard from staff and leaders, the conflicting messaging between NAR and what BAR was doing was really confusing for you guys as our members. And so we felt like the best thing and the most fair thing for our members is to give them that extra time and to make sure that we are on the same page as NAR so that you guys aren't getting conflicting messages, because how frustrating is that? Any other questions? Mario, you can unmute if you got any more. You have 2 good ones.
Any other questions that I see?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Okay, thank you.
Is there any data on the
Yes.
Is there any ethics?
They want to know if there's an increase in violations
Right.
based on 2 versus 3.
I'm sorry. Yes, I do have another question. I believe that there was a big push at the end of last year to get everyone to complete this training. So was that not the case, that last year we were all warned that we had to get this training done?
No, that was definitely the case. We did a big push. However, what we mentioned earlier, NAR, the same people could contact NAR and NAR would tell them they were in compliance. So it was very confusing for some of our members to be told in one publication that yes, you have to have it in 2 years, and then if they contacted NAR and they were forwarding the emails from NAR to your bar staff saying, NAR says I'm good. So it was causing, even though there was a huge push, because I even saw it as I was looking at possibly being a part of the bar family, I saw all the communications that were poured out about that. But it was just very confusing because of the NAR difference. Somebody else asked if there's not data that's going to prove whether 2 or 3 years is more effective, because we didn't do it long enough and no one did it long enough. NAR went to a 2-year cycle, which is when we went to the 2-year cycle. I'm pretty sure y'all can correct me because the history is still new to me. And we chose to stay on that 2-year cycle because we thought at the time that was the best way forward for BAR. Your professional development committee, known as PDC here, made a new recommendation to your executive committee and your board of directors saying after what happened and the confusion at the end of last year that they did not feel that was in the best interest of our membership. And so that is why the board has approved this proposal and sent this proposal out to our membership to vote on. And then Letitia has a Letitia, we are aware of the difference between people that can, that there were some classes people were taking that are not accepted by bar. We've actually been working with one school trying to get a way to make them approved by us, but we haven't made as much headway as we'd like to with that. But we have the support of the board of directors to continue doing that, and our staff has been working on that, trying to find a way. And we're going to be looking at other schools as well as they get those to make sure that if their class fills the requirements that NAR requires for that, that we are getting those approved. And I'm going to look at it.
Yeah, yes, I'd like to add just one other point to that too. You have some classes that are, for lack of a better term, subcontractor, if you will, from a particular school that may be approved. And another school may piggyback on someone that's approved, but when they come through and report it, it's reported from the secondary location and not the approved location. So there's been some confusion there that the person that actually, the material that was being used was approved, but it was done through an unapproved school per se. So that's part of that as well.
Kelly, can I add to that?
Certainly.
NAR caused a little bit more confusion on this in their decision, in the board of directors' decision, to say that the code of ethics as it counts toward NAR's approval process could only be done through association approved instructors. The problem that they said that they were running into nationwide was that you had a lot of inconsistency in what was being taught in ethics. So it was not a bar decision to make this move. It was an NAR decision, and bar just simply has to comply with it. So what that has done is put down, when you get to the local level, that puts more work on the bar staff and the instructors to make sure that they go through a local association so that it will be recognized by NAR. So if you take an ethics class is taken and it's not by an association approved, it may count toward your CE for the state, but it doesn't meet the burden of the ethics requirement by NAR.
Patty, did you want to unmute, add anything as our PDC chair?
Yes, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to, as I was chair last year when this all came up, I just wanted to also share with you, I believe I'm correct, and Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, Code of Ethics was required by NAR, not a state of Alabama commission does not require Code of Ethics. So there was a lot of confusion when people were doing their required CE. They were calling Alabama ARAC and saying, well, you're not required to do Code of Ethics, but yet BAR was requiring it and also NAR. So that also played into the confusion.
Thank you, Patty, for that. All right, is there any other discussion?
We had one question
Sorry about
while we were doing it retroactive.
Yes.
And that goes back to what I said earlier, or what I mentioned earlier, that would give us till the end of the year to get those realtors who were getting those conflicting messages in compliance to move forward for the next 3-year cycle in alignment with NAR. Does that help, Mario? And then Kimberly mentioned in the chat, if you're seeing, Mario says yes, awesome. It says realtors would check the NAR site, which was another place, which is another good point. When you checked them, if you went on to NAR.realtor, you were seeing that you were in compliance as well, even if you weren't in compliance before. So that was another way members were getting conflicting information. So thank you for pointing that out, Kimberly. I appreciate that.
All right, any other discussion about the motion? All right. The voting will open, right? It'll open at 11 after this meeting, so we will not be calling for the vote right now. But I would urge all of you to mention to your offices once this is open for voting to please go to the portal and vote on this. Okay, hearing no other discussion on the first proposed provision, let's talk about the second proposed provision. And that would be to reduce the business meeting quorum to allow VAR to be more nimble and responsive to the needs of members and our industry. Presently, the quorum is 10% of the membership, and the proposal would reduce the requirement to the 5% of the membership. And I would like to open the floor for discussion on any questions you have about the reduction for the quorum.
How many people?
About 250 if, at the present time, but as membership fluctuates, that would change.
And I know there have been some questions and concerns from some of the members that we were trying to, we're not trying to reduce. We still want to have as many people as possible to be involved in the decisions. But with, when we had to move very quickly and pivot to change about the being open and other decisions, we've had to change policy procedure and look at things we needed to change policy procedure to be able to pivot quickly enough to adapt in this market. So we're not trying to dumb down, if you will, the decision process. We're trying to speed it up so that we can move as quickly as we need to. One of the major things we were able to do last year is to remain essential. And so we think being nimble will assist us in being essential. And I hope you all agree with that.
Patty had a great question. What happens if we do not get enough votes today? Well, we have a week to get those votes in. We're closing that next week on the 25th, and we're doing that electronically. But if we did not get 2% of the membership to vote on this, these measures would fail because we have to have that many people vote. That's another reason why this quorum change is so important, because in the midst of COVID and some of the other things, getting 400 plus people in a room can be a little bit of a stretch anywhere, and we can do some of these virtual things and that kind of thing, but we feel like that will allow us to keep responding. We've had a lot of news lately, Zillow and the acquisition when the showing time, things like that, things where we need to be looking at what our options are and responding nimbly, and those don't always require a bylaws change, such as in that case it wouldn't, but sometimes they do, and for us to be able to take care of you guys and respond to the feedback that we get is really important. However, the reason we didn't go less than 5% is we also understand the value of each and every one of your voices, and we want to make sure that we have enough of the membership represented in those decisions.
Has there been a problem with quorum being 10% in the past?
My understanding is yes, but I'll let some of our members here that are with me answer that because they have a little bit more history on that.
Well, I would just say, if you think about when we have our membership meetings, they were generally at the club at the luncheon, and we would have possibly 300 people at the luncheon, which was at the time was probably meeting quorum because our membership was not quite as high as it is now. But the more our membership grows, the harder it is to even have a venue that's going to fit 10%, other than Zoom, of course. Which is hard to have a membership meeting of 500 something people. So, so I think that would be the case. Is we've met it in the past, but it's getting harder because the membership continues to grow.
Right. So we are.
So John Hawley asked, what is the industry standard for % of membership needed to reach a quorum? John, that does vary a lot. A lot of associations actually have it's whoever shows up. And we did have that discussion, but we felt like, just like I said a minute ago, that didn't make sure that we had our membership represented within that. But a lot of associations now, we'll see, it will be whoever shows up because they take the viewpoint that if you want to be a part of the process, then you'll vote. And we understand that, and we take that viewpoint too, but we also want to ensure that we have enough people voting that the membership can be heard. So that's why we just settled on the 5%. As part of the discussion with the EC and the board. Does that help? John?
Yes. John said yes.
Okay, and then
Faith. So my concern is the voice of a few speak for the voice of the majority. If meeting quorum has been a challenge, have measures been taken? What measures are taken to increase attendance or make voting more conductive for more members? I think Chris touched on that a little bit just a minute ago, just with a venue being large enough, because we used to have in-person votes. And of course, as the world changes, we have gone electronic. So that opens up an opportunity to have more participate, especially when you have venues right now that really can't accommodate a large group because of social distancing and such. So does that answer your question, Faith?
And I would also like to point out, we've marketed this particular Zoom meeting today as a membership meeting. And we have 72 participants on the Zoom call. So as you can see, it's kind of difficult to get people to participate sometimes, even when it's kind of easy to participate. So,
And we
Great
did,
point, Chris.
and we did a lot of marketing for this. We even tried some new things. Some of y'all should have had a voicemail from me Wednesday evening or that you got receiving asking you to come, and we sent that to all of our members. We sent out, some text messages about it. We've had it in emails and stuff since we've been out. We've been doing everything we can to kind of get that information out and putting it out on social media and that kind of stuff as well. So we definitely want to do better and not always have to call a special meeting so you have a smaller window to advertise. But our goal is not to have less people participate in the vote. Our goal is still to have more, but we don't want to be stopped from being able to do the business we need to do just because we don't reach our true goal. So I don't think our goal has changed from getting as many members as we can to vote. We will continue to do that no matter what. We just need to have a reasonable standard that we can meet to make sure that we can continue to conduct business when necessary.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Faith said that is reassuring. Thank you. So we had another question from Letitia Webster.
MLS only members would not vote in this because this is a Birmingham Association of Realtors vote. So it would only be realtor members of the association that would vote in this election or this bylaws amendment. Does that answer that? Does that help, Letitia?
All right, very good. Do we have any other questions about the second proposed bylaw amendment?
just some comments in there.
Okay.
Letitia, we have heard that from a few people about the voicemails not going through for everybody. Our understanding is we had 400 or so that didn't the first time. We resent those yesterday, and it was due to the service providers of them or where they were located at the time that call went through and why it didn't go to voicemail. We did try to resend those, so if you get any more feedback about whether they got it later, yesterday, that would be great because we are trying to diagnose that and make sure that we get those. When we do something like that, we don't want to overuse it because you guys are busy selling real estate, but we do want to make sure that it works effectively when we do use it. So thank you for that feedback.
Okay, and John Holly noted that he registered but did not receive the Zoom link. So that might also be an issue. So I don't know, it would be interesting to know how many people did not get the Zoom link when they registered.
We'll definitely look into that. That's the first I've heard of somebody not. I know we had a couple of people having problems registering and we diagnosed those and got those fixed, but that's the first I've heard of somebody not getting the link. So John will look into that and find the answer and find the solution and get something set up, see if there was something wrong with the way the event was set up. But that is the first time I've heard that one, so we'll have to look into that thing. But thank you for the feedback because that's the only way we get better, guys, is y'all telling us. Sherry says the same. So can we write those two names down for me, Chris, so that we can diagnose them because with the examples it'll be easier to figure that out. Thank y'all. Apparently a lot of people did not.
Janet Ham did not either as well.
So we will find out what happened with that, and that's a great, not a great problem to have, but a great feedback to have so that we can solve that and get that dealt with in the future.
So any of you that did not receive the link after you registered, please just put your name in the chat so we can follow up on potentially why that happened. Okay, are there any other discussions about the second proposed change to the amendments? The amendment changes, sorry. All right, hearing no other. Remember, voting will open at 11 o'clock today, also on the 2nd. And this basically is our opportunity to have discussion about the vote prior to the vote. All right, so voting will open at 11 a.m. this morning, and it will close at 4:30 on Thursday, February 25th. That's Thursday, February 25th, 4:30. I would love for each of you to be ambassadors since you were here today, and please send a message to your broker or to your office encouraging them to vote. There are, as we mentioned earlier, around 900 realtors that are in jeopardy just because of miscommunication between Alabama and National. And I would hate for them to lose their realtor status, meaning they can't be marketed. They can't use the word realtor at all until they are in compliance. They would be merely a licensee. So if you will share that information through your offices, please, or if you have a large company, please share it across all of your offices. All right, so that will close on Thursday, February 25th. All members in good standing will receive a link to vote via email today after it goes live. To vote, you will be required to log in using your NERDS number, that's your NRDS number, and it will be included in your email with voting instructions for your convenience. Additionally, your NERDS number is also available in your member portal. If you have any questions or issues with voting, once it goes live, please contact the staff here at BAR, and they will be very happy to help you. And if you don't get the link, be sure and contact us.
I was gonna say, they were asking, this session was recorded, some of them came in late, one year. some
Yeah,
days
I
later.
just responded in the text as well, but no, that's great. I'll say it out loud.
Thank you.
We are gonna be sharing that with all of our members because that's one of the reasons we're recording today is so that we can share it because we knew we didn't have everybody come in, especially learning the registration issues. Some people may have not got the links. We were going to be doing that anyway, so we're going to be finalizing the video, making sure that it's ready for reproduction, and then we will be sharing that with all of our members via emails and different things, Facebook, all those kind of things to make sure that everybody can see what's going on, okay? So definitely, great question.
Very good. So hearing no further discussion on that, we will move to the next portion of our meeting. Yes, Patty, did you have your hand raised? No. Yes, you did? Okay.
Sloan asked a question about, does this affect committee meetings as well?
Business meetings or membership-wide meetings, so this is the quorum specifically for a membership meetings, not for the committees. Committee quorums are different.
Okay,
That
thank you.
helps, Sloan?
Thank you, Sloan. All right, now that we have completed the business portion of our meeting today, I would like to introduce you to our new CEO, Miss Amanda Creel. And we are so excited to have Amanda here at BAR. She's an Alabama native and an Auburn graduate, War Eagle, and is thrilled to continue doing what she loves. So serving realtors as part of BAR and GAMLS, Greater Alabama MLS. And Amanda joined us after spending the last 4 years as the CEO of the Prescott Area Association of Realtors, otherwise known as BAR, and its MLS in Prescott, Arizona. And Amanda found her passion doing all things realtor as the communication director at the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, before taking her first position as the chief staff executive at the Shoals Area of Association of Realtors in Florence, Alabama. So Amanda has served in many capacities at Arizona Realtors, that would be AAR, and the National Association of Realtors. And Amanda most recently served as the 2020 NAR Local Leadership Idea Exchange Medium Board Forum Chair. And that's a mouthful.
Mouthful. I was about to say, I was going to interrupt you and say that. That's a mouthful. I'm sorry.
And so she was the association executive representative on the Arizona Realtors 2020 Executive Committee. And Amanda also serves on Realtor.com, National Real Estate Ethics Day, and the MMSI. What's MMSI?
Well, it is one of Ramco's competitors, so we use a different association advisory or a different association management system. But when I was at my last association, we used MMSI, and I had been on their technology and advisory group for the last 2 years, getting to help them make changes that would help the associations use that system better.
That is awesome. Thank you for clearing that up. I had not seen that acronym. So Amanda leads by example when it comes to advocating on behalf of private property owners in our industry. And it is RPAC Golden R, President's Circle Major Investor. And that's a huge thank you. Kudos to you. Thank you for your investment there. So please join me in welcoming Amanda. We are so lucky to have her as part of our team.
Hey guys, I am so excited to be here, and Chris even gave me a clap, which is awesome because it's a little different to not be virtual. I think he gave me the coolest comment today that I didn't even realize. Like, I've worked with Chris so much the last 4 or 5 weeks, I didn't realize I've never seen him in person until today. So I was like, oh my gosh, I feel horrible for not realizing that. But a lot of you, I know your faces already because I've seen you in committee meetings. Some of the faces were brand new to me. I am super excited to hear your feedback. I love some of the things that we heard today, things where we can improve, things that we're doing good, great questions. That's the kind of conversations we need to be having. We want to get more people engaged. We need to be open to having some of these conversations and digging deep to figure out how we can better serve all of you. It's been a whirlwind of a few weeks. I think I'm technically on week 5. So since I joined, and so we are, getting through and looking at things, finding ways to do things better, finding ways to do events like this better, where it hopefully doesn't feel like just another Zoom. You're seeing your leadership and you're learning about what they're doing. We're following up on what's happening in the industry. We're making great strides. We have some wonderful leaders. Our executive committee has been really helpful to give me the history and things I need to kind of figure out what our association is doing and where we might need to pivot to. Our staff has really pitched in to kind of figure out who we're going to be, where we're going to go, and kind of see some of my visions. Like today, when I come in with, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to make that look. They've been awesomely accommodating and really ready to serve you guys the best way that we can. Somebody mentioned in the chat a little bit about their frustration with the phone system. We have already made some pivots to try to make that better, and we will continue to do that. They asked about a directory. We'll definitely look into posting a directory of our extensions for the staff. But we have made some changes. There used to be some horrible robot voices on there. Has anybody heard them? They were absolutely horrid as far as I'm concerned. So we got rid of them as a staff team effort. And so we shouldn't have those. And if you find one, because at least one realtor found one after I got rid of them, he came back to haunt us. We got rid of them again. So, but if you find him again, let me know or let one of our staff members know, because we're happy to take care of that. We've talked a lot about how we're going to serve you guys. We're looking forward to it. I want you guys to be looking out for a message from us about how we're going to start opening back up in March for appointment only and for different things. And we're going to start doing some smaller committee meetings there and building back to what we can safely to take care of our staff and our members, but also to get some face time, because I like knowing what you look like with or without a mask. Because Chris says he only knew me with a mask or without the mask till today. He got to see the mask side of me when we were prepared, right? So great times, great excitement. Do you have questions? Because I was not at all looking at the text or the chat here. So if there's a question and I missed it, I got lots of welcomes.
We'd like to open it up for questions from the audience and put Amanda in the hot seat. So if you want to drop some questions in the chat box and unmute, we will call on you. Come on, y'all got some questions for this outstanding lady. And she has been. She's hit the ground running, and she has been on fire down here. And we appreciate Chris very much. Chris McCain, who served as our interim CEO during the period of time that we were searching for this gal. So any questions? Tell us about your family.
I have 2 awesome teenage boys that keep me on my toes and then some. One of them is now a junior at Vestavia Hills High School, and the other is in 7th grade at Lewis Pazip. I think I said that right. I'm still learning some of the right ways to say things out here in Birmingham, which I know is important. So, and then I've been married for almost 18 years to my husband, who just got his job, because we wouldn't be here without him having one. So he's going to be working at the VA like he did in Prescott. So we're super excited to get settled. We've got a house, because I believe in the dream of home ownership just like you guys do, and I believe that means I have to pursue that. So we're in contract for a house and hoping to close later this month and be able to move in and do the things that we need to do and go through that. But I'm very blessed with a very supportive family, and my husband is super excited to be back in Birmingham. His 2 sisters live here. So he is excited to be here, and I'm excited to be back in Alabama and call Birmingham home. I grew up in Mobile, but I have spent many days in Birmingham, and I have a lot of love for this area, and I'm excited to hit some of the hiking trails in and around Birmingham too, because that's our favorite family activity.
I see Jana May has a question in here, and I'd love to personally answer that one. She says, I'm very involved with my municipality. And what about a bar member being a liaison between municipalities at the bar? And that is an outstanding question. We actually hosted the Jefferson County Mayors Association here yesterday for lunch, and it's integral and very important that we partner with our municipalities, because when it comes to real estate and development and decisions, we need a seat at the table. We need a seat at the table at the state level, and we need a seat at the table certainly down in our municipalities. So we welcome that, Keith.
Yeah, I think you'll find some changes coming to that. William has got some ideas there. I think that will be coming forward over this next year as the plan's being put together and kind of vetted, where I think you'll see some exciting things coming forward that will provide some one-on-one opportunities activities there with the various mayors and city council members and county commissioners and so on.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about how to expand our scope and get in even more municipalities and things. So if you want to reach out to me offline, out, tell me where you're at, and we can maybe talk about how you can help us do that in your area, because we love having volunteers help us dig
Absolutely.
in and get connected.
And I would encourage you to contact Will Baylor here at the association. If you have great relationships with your existing municipalities, join the community affairs group and the government and community affairs, because that's what that's a part of. That is part of what we're trying to encourage here. So thank you very much for that question.
So somebody wants to know my favorite band or song. I'm a 90s kid, so I'm going to answer this, and some people aren't even going to know what I like electronic music and a lot of that kind of stuff. My husband's more of a 90s alternative kind of guy, but I like a lot of electronic music with no words and those kind of things. Where you've got the spinners doing that. I know that's kind of a weird answer, but that's more mine. So it's not usually a band. It's usually a mix of a bunch of different songs and that kind of thing to do that. So if I had my pick, my kids both like it too. They call it like dubstep now, but my kids
break dance.
Not break dance, but I can. I might throw it down a little bit, but I don't know that you want to see me throw it out on the floor anymore.
You can break something dancing.
Yes, sir. Keith has got my number right there. Yes, sir. We had another question about the difference between the MLS and the association.
That's a great question.
Do we want to handle that as a group, or do we want me to?
Yeah, why don't you?
What was the question?
The difference between our MLS and the association itself.
Well, I can touch on it, and if you'd like to expand. Where the Birmingham Association of Realtors is primarily, although not exclusively, the Birmingham general area, and it does not mean just Jefferson County, it expands on from that. The Greater Alabama MLS expands as a bigger footprint and basically covers most of North Alabama to some degree. Basically, I think over a third of the listings of the state come out of the Greater Alabama MLS. You also have other associations that are members of Greater Alabama MLS. The other thing with the MLS is that because of the Thompson law, or the Thompson case rather, you can have licensees that are not realtors be members of the MLS, which if you have members of the Birmingham Association of Realtors, then they are realtors and they have to be realtors. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of a brief overview there.
I can expand on that too a little bit. They're separate boards. The Birmingham Association of Realtors is a nonprofit organization that is membership driven, and the MLS is a for-profit organization with a separate board that is a subscription base and not a membership. So those are two distinct differences. The association, Birmingham Association of Realtors, actually owns the MLS, but they operate as separate entities.
Which is very important to know, because I think sometimes we get a little confused within that. Like even today, as we prepared for today, making sure that we're making sure this was bar centric, because it's bar members that can vote and how to do that, but also be great partners strategically, because we love our MLS and love doing things that they want to do, and we want to find ways to work and partner with them, but make sure that it's clear that we're two separate entities and that we're really just partners in providing the best possible resources for you guys, whether it's on the MLS side or at the association side.
And I want to mention too that is basically a trend that you're seeing coming from national. Because if you think about the consumer, who is our clients and customers, they don't really care about the imaginary boundaries that exist across state lines, or even think about California, how many associations there are. And if an association has a specific MLS, you may be in a county and you're just dumbfounded why your realtor can't see behind those lines that really don't exist for the consumer, because they can find information online about properties. They may not find everything, but it's just an encouragement to have more data freely available to all realtors, because it is a state license, but I think there are 11 associations in Alabama. There are not 11 MLSs, but there are 11 associations. So that's part of the consolidation there, is to be mindful of what the consumers are looking for and being able to provide that for them. Because if we had listened to the consumers years ago we wouldn't be battling the gorilla, Zillow. We've always kind of kept our information kind of close. And so we are listening to consumers and trying to adapt and provide that as well.
So it sounds like, Janet, you're going to help out Letitia with her questions about the survey clause. Is that accurate? Can you give me a heads up? Because it looks like y'all had a conversation in here.
Yes, I was just going to ask that.
And then thank you, Howard. You're so sweet. And then we also have Sarah ask a question about what kind of things I plan to get involved, do to get people more involved. I mean, we're going to start listening. And I know that kind of sounds like almost too obvious of an answer, but sometimes it's important to listen and kind of figure out what would make people attend. So we're going to be doing some surveys and some focus groups and some forums to try to figure out what we can do. We're going to be, answering the phones a little bit differently. We're going to be talking about how we can do that. We're going to be working with our committees to make sure that they're giving us really good feedback. We're going to be, even with the website redesign, which is presently a project that we're working on getting ready for, we're about to send out a survey, and we're going to ask the members what they think should be on that website. Because that's a really important piece, right? We can't just design something based on what we think. We're going to do that on you. We think outside the box, think of something that might be really exciting. Think about what our demographics are. We need different types of events for different people. We're also going to be more strategic about what we do. Because right now we're doing a whole lot of stuff, but we want to do a lot of stuff well. So we're going to be more strategic about scheduling. We're going to be more strategic about how we market things. We're going to start trying some new things. Like this week, we tried the email voicemail, or the voicemail messages, which for somebody didn't work as well as they need to. So we're going to try to perfect that and see if that's something we can use. We're going to continue doing the texting because we've gotten some really good responses on the weekly text. So we're going to continue doing some of that kind of stuff. We're going to look at ways to make things pop when we tell you about them, because we're sending you a lot of stuff, right? But if everything looks the same, how do you know what you need to go to, and how do you know where you're there? So we're going to be looking for ways to really make things pop, really make people understand why they need to be there. We're going to provide that value proposition. And I think we're going to talk about that value proposition and what we're going to do. Hopefully those that follow some of our social media channels have been looking at some of our emails and stuff the last few weeks have noticed that we've really tried to shift it. It's about you. Like, we are here to serve you guys. And so finding that shift, we did a ton of work on the building the last couple of weeks, because when I open the doors back to you guys, when we start doing appointments, I want this building to be in tip-top shape so that you know that we care about you and that we're here to serve you and that we're ready to take care of you. And even small things like that make a big difference in presentation. So we'll be looking at what we can do, how we can do that. If you have suggestions for certain types of events or how we can do that, every event, we've had a couple that have been here. We had Relove Realtor Day. We had a lot of people come, but the first thing we did after that event was a post op, right? What could we have done better? How could we have reached more people? How could we have wowed more members? Where could we have been set up? Today, we tried something a little different than what we've been doing with virtual. After this, the staff will get together and we will ask the leaders, how could we have done better? What could we have set up better? What can we buy to make it more appealing? How can we not be just another Zoom? Like, all those kind of questions are going to be front of mind for us as we continue to try to get you guys plugged in. But the ones that are plugged in today, we want to get outside of that circle. We want as many members as we can getting involved, taking advantage of the resources we have. We want to figure out what resources we need. We want them part of the conversation. We're going to be educating them on what we are doing. We're going to be listening so that we can shift to a way that makes sense and help hopefully get through the noise. Because I know how many emails I get, and I know how many emails y'all got. And if you don't sell real estate, then I don't have a job. So I've got to get through the noise for y'all, but I've also got to make sure that I'm not getting through the noise so much that you can't do what you're on this earth to do, and that's provide the dream of home ownership or the next commercial investment for someone in this area, right? So we've got to work together to make sure that that's a good balance. Does that answer your question, Sarah? I hope so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sarah answered. There's a question here from Faith that's I think we need to chat about, just given the climate that we're in as a nation. What has been the impact of the recent expansion of the Code of Ethics with regard to hate speech? And I'd love to open that up for discussion. Keith, you want to tackle that one?
Thank you for throwing me out of that bus.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was going to go into the bus.
Can we put Keith? No. Let's put Keith. I like this strategy.
Well, I will not be politically correct. I'll be true to form to who I am, and it's kind of saying like it is in a loving Christian way, of course. Now, it has created a lot of conversation nationwide. I know I've gotten a number of calls from around the state because of relationships that I have and and being affiliated with the National Association and serving on committees and things like that. When you hear some of the people in some of the recordings on the NAR website, and I encourage you to go there. They have some question and answer sessions. And there are a lot of great concerns. While there may have been, I think, some very good intentions there, it seems like that there is a great deal of concern of maybe what I believe probably were unintended consequences. It's getting into your personal social media, your personal websites, and a lot of people feel like that's overstepping for a trade association. It also gets into where if you're a person of faith and you, for example, one thing that's been used quite a bit, if you quote a particular Bible verse and put it in social media, the way that it's wrote, most are interpreting could be a violation. And so that has caused a lot of talk. This change actually happened back at the National Association convention, which we have national directors from Alabama on that committee that voted. And it happened, the decision was made then, but now the press has got hold of a lot of it. You'll find a lot of viewpoints out on the internet on it, people expressing their views. A lot of concern, especially I think in our particular area of the state. So there's a lot to read and learn there. If there's no revisions on it, I think it could hurt membership a good bit. Like I say, I think the probable intentions were probably very, very good, but maybe some unintended consequences as a result. Some of the conversation that has gotten back to me is that, we're a trade association, while we want to treat everybody fairly, it may be going too far. So I'd encourage you to go to NAR's website, read the questions and look over it very well and very carefully. It is a very hot topic right now. And I commend Kelly for, actually, as I said, she threw me under the bus, but actually calling on me to talk about it, because it's something that your local associations from around the state and other areas are going to have to discuss and deal with, because you've got members with very strong feelings and not just one way for it or against it, but in variations of it. So I don't know if that helps you.
That is excellent. And now you know why I pitched that to Keith. Keith has been on the National Association board for a very long time, and he's very connected on the national level, as well as he has served as the illustrious state president. He was president of AAR during the oil spill, and he was the one responsible for taking Governor Riley, I believe it was at the time, all over the state and showing him why that the realtors needed monies and such to be recouped from their losses. So we thank you for that, Keith. All right, Amanda, do you want to speak on that topic? Or
I was just going to say, on the association side, we'll be doing some education, making sure that everybody understands what the provisions are, and that we're all just really educated on what is going on, so that we can make sure we're protecting you guys and that you guys are informed enough not to get yourself in an area that might get you in trouble as we navigate these new uncharted waters with the code of ethics changes that have been implemented at the national level.
And one thing I would say is, as soon as that change happened, of course, I teach a lot of code of ethics classes that some of y'all have been in, and of course, I adjusted my course quickly to include that and make sure that it was something that everybody understood immediately. And as we continue to have code of ethics classes, obviously that'll be part of the coursework.
Yeah, and I think we'll focus on some diversity and inclusion classes as well, just to kind of talk about, because it's a broader thing than just what was changed in the code of ethics, and we'll be looking at ways to make sure that we're informing our members and having the right kind of conversation about what we're facing and what we're seeing, and that we're providing the dream home ownership for all, but also not having other issues that members go from.
The subject is a big subject because it steps in to some of the things I mentioned, but also some feel it steps into free speech and those types of things. So I think there's a lot there's a lot left to be found out and maybe fine-tuned and said on the subject matter.
I mean, I think that's what we do at associations, right, Keith? At every level, we figure out, hey, we're gonna try something. Sometimes there's consequences, there's changes, and there's things, and we have to be willing to listen and pivot, which is a lot of what we're gonna be doing here. Mario asked, what is one thing that I would like to change or implement immediately? I don't have just one thing. I ain't gonna lie. I have a lot of things I would like to see us do. We are gonna be doing some team leadership, even on the staff side, to try to get us in a better position. We're gonna be bringing in hopefully a trainer really soon, because I've been looking at that can help us do more like this, where we're doing a better job of producing what comes out of the association and that kind of thing, taking some stuff to the next level. We're gonna be working on those voicemail systems, because I'm tired of answering questions about it, so we're gonna figure that out too. We're gonna be, looking at the great events with some great things coming up. Kelly has her economic summit in April. We have the MLS is doing a big tech fair in June. We've got some big things coming up, so we're gonna be looking at how to make those amazing events that all of our members are gonna be jealous if they don't get a ticket to. So we're gonna be working on that, some of those kind of things. But we're gonna be working on foundation stuff. We have issues sometimes, like all the way down to how some of our systems work together, how some of that stuff does. So we're gonna be looking at our systems and our processes, and we're gonna figure out how to remove some of that red tape so that we can serve you guys better at the staff level. We're gonna be doing a full audit of kind of everything we're doing. I told them I will ask a lot of questions the first few weeks, and the leaders and the team here on the staff side can attest. I have lots of questions because I want to understand before I pivot and change. So, asking questions, finding the climate of where we're at, and trying to figure out where we can go together as a group. That's the first thing I want to do, but that's so much bigger than just figuring something out, right? So, but super excited to bring a lot of things. Two things that the PDC already agreed to bring that I'm super excited about. Kelly mentioned that I'm on the National Real Estate Ethics Day board, and we're going to be part of National Real Estate Ethics Day this year, and I'm super excited that the PDC wanted to do that. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I get to answer ethics questions to members from all over the country and be a part of that, and it is one of my favorite, and Lee Brown does a fabulous job teaching anything, but definitely code of ethics. So we'll be part of that live stream event from all over the country, which I think will just be really exciting and something to show that we are working with other associations throughout the country to do that. My favorite thing about this event, though, is not just that we're doing code of ethics. All the money raised for that event goes to the Realtor Relief Foundation. What a great thing, right? We're going to be helping realtors. We just had realtors who were experienced a tornado 3 days after I got here, right? In our Fultondale and our Center Point areas, we were there, right? We had these issues. That foundation is the one that comes out and helps those people. So we're going to be raising money for a great cause to help people just like us and our peers across the country as part of that. And we're going to get our COE taken care of and have that code of ethics credit and be able to move forward and hopefully have 3 years and get to do it every year as part of that and not have to worry about who doesn't get done at the end of every cycle. So that's a really exciting thing that's coming. Also, Real Estate Revive is a one-day conference that associations from across the country join into. And the PDC also just joined and decided that we're going to join that. And we have some heavy hitters from across the country. If you've ever read Inman, there's a guy named Dan Smith who's a contributor there, and he is part of the Revive thing every year. Lee Brown, who I know everybody loves because we love her Southern excitement going out, she's the MC of that event every year. And we'll be participating with associations from all over the country, North Carolina. We'll have people in California, like all across the country, part of this one-day event. Hopefully, by the time we get there, we might be able to have it at a live thing. But for this, this year, we're going to have a live stream link that you can watch it from the comfort of your home. One of the things I love about it is you got 90 days to replay it. Because if a deal comes, I know y'all got to leave for the deal. So if you missed that session that everybody else is raving about, we're going to be able to do that. So those are some things that we've already done and moving towards that I'm super excited about. I'm sure we'll have more, but I'm just super excited to hit the ground running. I have been very pleased with the team. They have listened to my craziness and my vision and gone with me both at the leadership level and at the staff level. They're like, I got you. Okay, I'm trying to see where you're going. Or, okay, you're not completely crazy. So those are good things to hear, right, as the new girl in town. So those are some things that we're really excited about. But does that give you enough? I probably gave you more than you ever wanted, Mariana. You let me talk about what's coming, though, and that's like my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome. I see a couple of questions in here I definitely want to touch on. Some folks were asking if we would come around and do a road show to the brokerages. I think that'd be awesome. But curious if Birmingham has seen a rise in claims, and how have we gone about noticing or letting our members know about the change, the code of ethics. I don't know who can speak to that relative to grievances and things of that nature, but I don't know if we've seen a rise.
I don't know that we've seen a significant rise based on what I know about you historically and what I've seen come in the what month or so before and that have come in working with the person here on the team that takes care of that for us. That doesn't mean that we won't. I think that we probably have some work to do, like I said earlier, in educating about these new code of ethics changes, what they mean, what they really mean, how we can interpret them, where the gray areas are, if we have concerns, where we can address those. So I think that we will definitely be working on that, maybe having some special events to talk about that, maybe some forums, that kind of thing. The broker roadshow that you mentioned, I'm actually going to be sending out an email in the next couple of days asking all the brokers and designated brokers right here to invite me to a staff meeting or a sales meeting that they have. I've been able to get to a couple, but I want to try to get as many as I can, even in person, if you guys are comfortable with that, or I'll join you via Zoom and we'll figure that out. But we're definitely going to want to do that. And maybe we can get some of our leadership involved in that too and get out there. We want to be boots on the ground. We want to be talking about that. So I love that. Thank you for
mentioning that. Yes, Keith.
I'd say this on the ethics part of it too. It's kind of just hitting. Part of the issue is it's too broad, too many gray areas. There's a chance for it to be abused. And while I'm sure everybody on this call, while most realtors are, we're just trying to make a living, make a difference in their community, and make everything better. Sometimes you got people that get upset at each other, and the problem is that I see is there is an avenue there that it possibly could be abused for those types of things. And so that's makes me feel good that we have the grievance committee and the committee set up to kind of look at, whether something is legitimate or not. So I think that's a real important part for you to realize that your association has, that it's an extra protection against someone maybe filing something against you, basically just out of deviousness or something like that. So that may be helpful.
Thank you, Keith. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Faith Desk is creating a diversity committee at bar on the agenda.
My understanding is we have a work group task force right now that's related to diversity. Will we be phasing that up and looking at that differently? Probably. We're going to be looking at committees as a whole, I think. I think maybe we have too many in some areas and those kind of things. So we'll be looking at that, talking to leaders, talking to our committee members, because we don't want to burn out our volunteers, right? So we want to make sure that what we have is doing exactly what we need and those kind of things. So we'll be looking at committees in general, definitely be looking at what that diversity committee can do. But we talk about what objectives those committees can reach as part of our strategic plan. Because we have a roadmap, right, that we have to do. And in that strategic plan, we have to have a diversity initiative now as part of the new NAR changes. So we'll definitely be addressing that and looking at the best way to do that, either utilizing that existing work group or expanding its reach and scope and doing some different things.
Good. Thank you, Faith, for that question. Do we have any other questions that we want to bring up?
Well, what I see is it says, do you like wine and how many wine?
Is that not funny? Patty Stone.
Patty, I'm not answering that.
She turned
Good
right.
try,
She turned red.
That's funny. All right. So thank you, Amanda, for telling us about yourself and your vision for us here at BAR. And to our members who joined, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to be on the lookout for your email invitation to cast your vote on the proposed bylaw revisions. And please encourage your fellow BAR members to vote. We are grateful to all of you for your service to our industry and know together great things are on the way. If you have suggestions or concerns, please reach out to our illustrious CEO, Miss Amanda Creel, and Amanda at BirminghamRealtors.com. That's Amanda at BirminghamRealtors.com. All right.
Well, thank you all for coming to
Thank
meet
you
us.
so much.
We
Have a great
appreciate
day.
it. Have a wonderful day.
Motion to adjourn.